really impossible for it's impossible for me to clarify anything unless I kind of know what's bothering you, you know, like what's not clear. So should we start from the very beginning? Is this your first time hearing about any of this stuff? Okay.
I got a very good review from Brooklyn. Yeah.
Okay, I hope I live up to whatever the review is. She can do a good job. Well, why did you come?
That's a
Not what I mean, let me ask it this way. Not, I don't mean to ask like what's going wrong in your life. I don't mean to ask that. I mean, like, what brings you, what interests you about what you think you might learn here?
I went to OA and I got into this new way of thinking. And I met Jenny Krause and she was telling me about the innate health. So I got into it and I was reading about it and I really don't understand it. And Jenny told me about these meetings. I've been getting texts every once in a while.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was free at 12, so I decided let me find out what it's all
Excellent.
about.
What have you read?
I read about that Irish guy.
The Irish fella, yeah. Sid. Yeah.
That's right. No, I went to some, maybe had a webinar or something, so I heard her. It sounds very good, but it's nothing that, you can really put to use from what I heard. So I want to learn more about it.
Okay. That helps. Thank you. This is your third time here, right? I know you've been thinking about it.
Definitely.
Huh?
Definitely.
So where are you holding? What are you trying, what have you been working on?
I'm working on trying to identify when I get
Can
a
you
thought.
speak a little louder?
I've been working on trying to identify when I get a thought. That's the hard part for me. It's like being aware of what's setting off emotions.
Okay. Well, let's see if we can relieve you from having to do that. So, did you guys hear what she said, that she's been working on trying to identify, I guess, when you're having a thought? Is that what you said?
Before I get.
Before you have the thought.
Before the emotions come. Even though I know you said they come at the same time.
Hmm. Well, even though I did say that, but underneath the story behind that effort is what? Why would you do that?
Why would I try to
Right.
identify my thoughts?
Yeah. What are you trying to accomplish? It's okay. I'm not making a point. I'm just trying to bring something out.
There's like a lot of things that go on in my life, and definitely things that make me upset. And, have, I wouldn't say depressed, but, you go around with a very poor view and other things. So I wanted to try to change that a little bit.
So in my, how should you say it? Untactful way, I would say, it sounds to me like you're trying to change, be different than the way that you are.
Well, they say you can't be different. Your thoughts are your thoughts. Isn't that what you said?
Well, maybe. We'll forget about what I said yesterday. Even whether I said that or not, it's not important. But I just want to kind of highlight that the only reason why someone would engage in something is because they're trying to get something done, right? Is that right? That's all I'm trying to highlight. There's something you're trying to accomplish, right? That's fine. The reason why I'm trying to cull that out, and this is kind of going to be the hakdama for you and for everyone, is that we're not trying to get anything done here, per se. The principles or innate health don't encourage you to do that or to be different, or they don't even have a value system about a better way of being. That's not how the principles are going to help you. As opposed, in contrast to all the other gurus out there. I'm not a guru, but they're all suggesting to you, do this, say this, think this, and then you'll be how you want to be. Yeah, that's a different category. I'm not against any of that stuff, but that's not what the principles are. That's not what we're engaging in here. Okay? So then what are we doing? Right? What's the whole point? Well, what we're doing is we're just examining how something actually gets created. That's it. We're trying to understand the truth about how things are created. Okay? So that's a different discussion.
You mean thoughts are created?
Things mean what?
Yeah.
Anything. I just want to know how anything is created.
You don't mean objects. You mean
Reality.
reality.
I want to know how reality is created. We're going to start with that. And then we're going to get to I want to know how my personal experience of it all is created. But first, I want to know how reality is created. How do things come to be? That's the kind of, to me, that's like the first step. We're trying to understand that. And the reason why we're trying to understand that is because that will then inform or help us make better decisions about what we should or shouldn't be doing. Hello. Okay, so I guess to make this conversation or this whole, I don't know, discussion way more helpful for anybody is the first thing I want to be very clear about what we're not doing here. And we're not trying to become better people. We're just, it's okay if we stay exactly the same. Don't worry, you'll be a better person. It'll take care of itself. But we're kind of like, I don't know, in college, trying to understand how something works. You know, we're at tech school, or what do they call those schools where they learn how to tinker with things, right? Or we're in math class, you know?
The essence of being a Yid is always to go up a ladder.
Instead, in a mailer, you'll grow, but it's not the focus of it.
Sure. You're both right. The essence of a Yid is to go higher and higher. If you're not going higher, you're going lower. Sure. And that's a different discussion. I would give you a mashal like this. Let's see if we can find something where, because someone totally misunderstands how it works, so the things that they're very effortfully, earnestly doing are backwards. Like, because they really mean well, they're doing their best, but because they totally misunderstand the system, they're actually hurting, not helping.
Like the town of Cullen that wants to move the mountain, something like that.
No.
I don't remember the details, but just somehow it fell into my head that it comes in here. Sounds like they're doing the opposite of something that doesn't make sense. They
Right.
want to move the mountain.
And they're doing it earnestly.
Right.
They're doing it with
They
good
really think
intentions.
they're-
The guy with the snow, with the footsteps in the snow. It was also a hell of a story.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's misunderstanding how it works. It is a funny story.
They totally misunderstood because four of them were carrying the rug to show, so they didn't want to mess up the snow.
Yeah, but it's not a perfect mushal, because I'm looking for something that I'm sure you can think of something. Where can we think of something where somebody was doing something really, really earnestly and with all their effort, but because they misunderstood how the system works, how things go, their efforts were doing the opposite or not helping at all.
My father used to have an expression, "La mijnen is never geëindigd."
Say that again?
La mijnen is never geëindigd.
La mijnen?
La mijnen. They
think that-
they think it seriously, never in an ehrliche way, but it's so off.
Right. It's. The basic. I think it's from. Michael Neal has it in his book, is you have someone who's in a room and there's one door and there's no windows, he can't get out, right? So he's trying to open the door with all his might, all right? And he's pulling and yanking and pulling and pulling and pulling, and he just can't do it, right? It's just not going until he realizes someone shows him that it opens outwards, right? He doesn't open in. So someone's pulling and yanking and pulling. It's a gun red, because it's not going to open that way. Just by understanding how it works will completely change the relationship to, or some of the choices that we make about what to do.
You realize that it's so simple.
A real life example of this?
Can I give an example?
Yeah.
So I always knew that people are different. Everybody's different, just the faces aren't the same, they aren't the same, and everyone thinks they're all like, but still, it wasn't so clear to me and so obvious and like so amazing how people really have separate realities because everybody's feeling they're thinking in their own way. Until I learned this, and now I look at everybody with all their differences, like, okay, you know what? Everybody's good, everybody's doing their thing, I don't know. I have no judgments anymore, and people are like, oh my gosh, what's the matter with that guy? Really, wow. Even if someone was doing something in the middle of the street, and I was trying to drive, and he was really like, couldn't figure out what he was trying to do, he was holding up all the traffic and everything, and then I said, all right, maybe the way he is, the way he's thinking, he thinks he's doing the right thing, or he thinks he's entitled to do what he's doing, whatever it is. And like, I didn't have these like negative feelings towards him as I usually would. It like kind of makes you less judgmental of people. That's the way I feel it's helping me in a very big way.
That's a great example of how someone sees the same situation very differently because they've understood the underlying principles of reality. And so that's way down the road though. Yeah. That's how people actually change later, because Mrs. Konigsberg has really learned these principles well, really seen them for herself. And as a result, things in the past that would really get her don't as much anymore. Yeah. Or she sees them differently when they are getting her. Yeah. But I'm really more concerned about, and that would be an example. Before she knew how it worked, her feelings of being upset by someone of cutting her off on the street would be justified, would be her understanding or relationship to those feelings would be, well, I feel this way because of what they've done. There would be this cause and effect relationship from my feeling as being caused by my circumstances. And that was the way that's like pulling the door, a door that opens out, trying to pull it in. You know, that's like, it's just backwards. It doesn't work that way. And as a result of seeing how it actually works, her relationship to her ups and downs and her different feelings and things that she feels about people, well, she sees them as totally hers. And therefore she's gotten some wiggle room and started to find new ways to feel about, people doing their thing. Separate realities being one. That's a good example of that. But let's think of a more immediate, relatable example where, because we believed in a system, we believed that something was a certain way. Really, it wasn't. But because we believed it was that way, it really limited our ability to function. Anything come to mind? I'm tired of our same two examples that we always use, but it's such a great example, so I guess we'll use it again. There was a time where many people believed that the world was flat. Yeah.
Well, we could do
But
germ
it's
theory.
the best example.
It's only updated. 2019.
Yeah. Now, just because they believed it was flat, that alone, they didn't believe it was flat. It was flat to them, right? And because of that understanding, that was the only understanding they had. So, memela, there were many, many things that they couldn't do, or they were limited in their travel because of the logic of a flat earth means there's an edge, and that has a lot of limitations to it. Simply by realizing that the world is not flat, realizing that the world is round, changes the whole game. Just like that, poof, in an instant. The edge disappears through realizing that it's truly round, right? Now, we have a logic that a false logic that most of us, myself included, rely upon in order to understand reality, our personal experience. And that logic is often, if not all the time, I feel the way that I feel about my life because of things going on in my life. or things going on in me, or things going on in my past, right? That's the logic that we use. I'm equating that logic, as reasonable as it sounds, I'm equating that logic to a flat earth logic. It's the same false logic. It's not true. It never was true. It looks flat. It looks like you're making me feel how I feel. So I'm not going to blame you if you believe in that. I mean, we all fall prey to that false logic, but it isn't true. There's a different logic, a different paradigm of understanding how our experiences are created. And when you get a glimpse into that logic, it will change the way you operate. It'll change the way you relate to everything. Okay, and now what we're doing at this group is we're trying to figure out, well, what is that other logic? Right? I know that one day they just realized it was round. Fine. How do I realize what this other logic is about human experiences? Like, how do I do that? I don't even know what the logic is yet to try to work on it. Yeah. So that's what we're doing here. We're trying to illustrate and describe the logic, talk it out, draw it on oak tag, do interpretive dance. I don't know what. Yeah. Different things until maybe one moment you get a glimpse into what the true logic is that accounts for all our experiences. Do you see the difference there? Yeah?
I should stop trying.
Huh?
I should stop trying.
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying you should stop trying. I'm saying that we're not trying to be better people here. We're just trying to understand, how does this human experience thing actually work? What's the truth about why I happen to be the way that I am? How does that work? And as we realize that, it's going to weed out all these other ideas that we used to have about why I feel the way that I feel, or why my experience is the way that it is. Isn't that exciting?
Extremely.
So what is
How much longer? How much longer can I kind of tease it out until people are like, so tell me already? Okay. So just to be very clear, I want to highlight again, I was very specific about it, but I cannot tell you what it is. I can't give it to you. I cannot give it to anybody.
You have to feel it.
You have to realize it for yourself. Now, that's the bottom line. I can't do that. I can't make you realize anything. This is an important point. I can't make you realize it. Now, if you understand that, so all we have left is I will try my best, and all the ladies here will try their best to describe what they've seen about the logic. Yeah? To explain it. Well, not to explain it, but to describe it. I think explain is a poor word, because explain can be misunderstood to sound like I'm going to explain it to you. I'm going to explain it to you, and then you're going to understand. I can explain it to you from today till tomorrow. You may never understand. You still have to have your own insight, your own realization into it. You have to have a feeling of, oh, I see it for myself. That'll happen in you. So what we're doing here is we're putting our Stadlis in. We're going to talk about it, argue about it, work it out, and then maybe 3 weeks from now, something will hit you, and you're like, oh, that's what they were talking about. It may not happen here today. That's what's interesting about this, okay? Now, you want me to tell you what it is?
Do you feel like you're being teased?
Yeah.
That's your face.
Yeah. Now I'll give you my first metaphor. Okay. I have to come up with it now. No, I had a coffee. Here's the first metaphor. Every single feeling, emotion, opinion, perspective, mood, reaction that anyone can have is coming 100% from outside of the world into you.
Totally wrong. No, but finish.
Totally wrong.
Not
What?
totally wrong.
Nothing
No, he
from the
didn't finish.
outside of the world.
From outside the world, yeah.
Oh, outside.
Outside of the world.
Of the
Outside of the
We're not talking
universe.
about outside in. She said you-
Yeah.
Oh, that's why I got
He
so
means the
scared.
universe,
So
the
permanent.
island of the.
I have to process that, yeah, I.
Right, I also
felt the
have-
same way.
Yeah, okay.
Next, please.
Nothing, no feeling, emotion, idea, attitude, mood, perspective, opinion that you have is ever available to you because of something outside of you in the world going on around you. Stay with me, just hear it out.
Start over.
It's okay. It's okay. If you missed it, you missed it. You'll get the next one. Was that clear?
Yes.
Okay. See? It's not me.
I made a diagram, so I keep on referring to the diagram, nothing from outside it. It's from Hashem. Everything comes from the world.
Beyond the world.
Now, just to be Meisif, one little prat, the HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives you largely the reality that you get from the Eibishter. You choose it. I'd say probably 99% of it. You choose it. At least your emotional reality. Maybe the amount of money you have or the health and wealth and that type of stuff, where you live, that's not chosen. But your emotional reality, you choose it and then you get it. It's not a principle. HaKadosh Baruch Hu can give you a different feeling, even for no reason at all. But I don't want to say that, okay, it's just, hey, I just sit here and God does it to me. I'm not saying that at all. I am saying that system of your reality coming from this divine energy manifesting as a feeling within you is a principle. That step can never be skipped. And it reveals to us that our feeling is never, ever born from or flowing from anything around me. Ever. Ever. I really mean that. This should be making you a little bit angry. If you're really hearing me, it should upset you just a little bit.
Can I just, what's the difference between a feeling and an emotion?
Okay, it's a good question. Feeling is a larger word that I use to refer to experience. All experience is felt. So feeling is synonymous with the word reality in my book. Part of your reality or your feeling includes your emotions, happy, sad, bored, occupied, that type of stuff, busy. It also includes your opinions, your knowledge, your attitude, your mood, all that stuff. It's all within your experience. It's already down here in your experience, all of it. Yeah? And all of that is a perfect reflection of a divine will. It can't happen otherwise. And that system, a divine will, showing up as this particular feeling, is a principle. You can't get away from it. Even if you have one little thing that says, well, yeah, it's mostly from the Eibishter, but this thing also has some of its own influence. That would mean there's no principle. That would take away from it. That would mean that you have no principle at all. When we say it's a principle or a paradigm, we're trying to highlight that there's nothing in this world that brings you a feeling or holds you in a certain state. Nothing like that even exists. It's just not true. That's flat earth. That's a flat earth idea.
Look at that, that's almost done.
Wait, it's leaving a message.
So where does thought come in?
Thought is a poor man's word to refer to something very, very divine. Thought, when we use the word thought, it's not referring to my mental activity. That's already in this world. Thought, or as it's called, divine thought, or universal thought, is a power that turns the divine energy into the reality that I now see. It's happening to you right now. You don't even have to try. It's working. There's one power that creates my feeling, my reality, my felt reality, and that's this divine power of thought. It's always been creating our realities. It always will be creating our realities, and it's creating your reality right now. It's even allowing you to hear the words that are coming out of my mouth. It's creating all of it. Every part of your conscious experience, maybe even some of your unconscious experience. Well, let's not get complicated.
Yeah.
Why can't we use in our, I know we don't want to Yiddishize this, but why can't we just use the base of it's Rachel running the world, and it's him giving us, I think it would talk to us on the
Just
level.
ask the question. Ask the question, and then I'll answer it. But there's a question. I don't want you to advocate for it, but
Oh.
ask for me
my
why.
question. You're not
Yeah.
getting
I heard the question, but I don't want to advocate for it. I'm nodding that I hear the question, and thank God I have an answer. Yeah. The reason why I don't just want to use Jewish language that says God runs the world and he runs my reality too is because we've always known that, and still, even though we've always said that, still from people who say the Eibishter runs the world have the following logic. The Eibishter runs the world and he determines how I feel, and the way the Eibishter makes me feel how I feel is by sending me this scenario. This bad scenario makes me feel bad. He sends me a good scenario, and that good scenario makes me feel bad. It's not true. There's no such thing as a bad scenario or a good scenario. They don't exist. All scenarios are neutral. They're all created by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but how I feel about them is a separate thing in Gansen. It's direct. The scenario itself is not inherently good or bad. I will feel about any scenario based on the divine power that brings me a certain feeling in any given moment.
My interpretation.
Hmm?
My interpretation.
That will be your interpretation of it. Yeah, that'll be yours.
So Hashem is speaking my interpretation.
I wouldn't say that. No, I'd say you're picking it, and then you get it. But that's already stepping into the realm of why am I getting this particular thought? We can delve into that another time. For now, we're just seeing that the world itself that we see, our finances, our health, our families, all that stuff doesn't come with a feeling. There's nothing inherently feelingful about it. It doesn't come with an emotion. There's no emotion attached to a sunny day. There's no emotion attached to a rainy day. There's no emotion attached to anything. It's all neutral. I will feel about the scenario in any given moment exactly how I am thinking, or how the divine power is, what feeling the divine power is bringing me in that moment. And that's always true. It's a constant. It's a principle. It never works any other way. That's why I don't just like to say, well, Hashgacha Pratis, the Eibishter führt die Welt. Hashem runs everything. That doesn't clear up the misunderstanding. It leaves open the idea I can believe in complete, how do you say Hashgacha Pratis in English? Divine providence, and still misunderstand how it works. You see that? Yeah?
Quite.
Okay, good. Yeah.
So I still don't understand where thought comes in. So you say there's a divine power there that gives me the feeling. So you seem to bypass the thought. Where does thought come in? And because when I said that before, you said thought is also someplace out there. So what's the difference between thought and divine power out there?
The simplest way to put it, it's not going to clear. I don't think it's going to clear it up for you. But I'll give you a metaphor. Do you remember the projectors they used to use? Yeah. Okay. Now I want you guys to listen to this metaphor because it's mostly misunderstood. It's misused. Most of the times that I hear it's completely misused. But here's the metaphor: you have a screen, and on the screen is the movie, right? How does the movie get there? You have a machinke and the projector, and you put film into the projector, and the projector sends light through the film and sends it onto the screen. That's a metaphor for what's going on here. Life, as we experience it, as we down in this world, is where in the metaphor? Where would you think that is in the metaphor?
On the screen.
Whatever's on the screen, that's our life. Yeah, that's what we experience, that's what we feel, that's what we know, that's our reality. How does that get created? There's a power of thought. What's the power of thought? Where's the machine is the power of thought. Into the machine goes thinking. And it turns that thinking into the reality that you now see. Which film happens to be going into the projector at any time? Mostly you put it there. I don't know when, but I know I did. I can't necessarily get at it to find when I did, but I know I did most of the time. Sure, the Ibisher can sometimes put in an ad for something, yeah, and it'll show up, yeah. But nothing shows up on the screen except through that system of the projector taking film and turning it onto the screen. The way I think the Sfarim talk about it is that there's a koyach, there's the Eibishter himself, which is unknowable, undescribable. Out of him emanates a ratzon, a will, a configuration of this divine infinite energy. And that configuration is still pre-worldly. It's still before the world, but it turns into this world. Yeah. Whether that perfectly makes sense to you or not, I think you can see that we're looking in a direction that there's something creating my world that has nothing to do with my world. Yeah. The world that I'm in, that I'm experiencing, that I feel is not coming from my world. It's coming from some sort of power or mechanism that is pre-worldly. It's koydem shenivra ha'olam. And then it turns into my world. Can you see that? Yesh from ayin. Existence is a reflection of a divine, a divine program. Yeah. If you can see that as being 100% true, without exceptions, the next time somebody cuts you off in traffic and you find yourself feeling really upset, and you'll have an urge to blame that driver for how you feel, it doesn't look so rational anymore to do that. Can you see why? Let's try a different scenario. Well, actually, no, let's work this through. I see this is not hitting home for you, but let's just try to knead it out. Can you see why, according to if what we're saying is true, can you see why it would not be logical to attribute your feelings of upset to the person cutting you off? Can you see why that wouldn't be logical?
Hashem put him there in my path.
Because the other person doesn't affect your thoughts.
Yes, that would be the logic. The logic would be not that I should think about it differently. Like Hashem put it there, and it's Hashem, Kadosh Baruch Hu führt die Welt, and that it's. Even if your feeling wouldn't change, and you're really, really upset and mad that you got cut off, is it logical to attribute that feeling to what that person has just done to you?
Yeah,
I think it is logical.
Okay.
I really think it is.
It is logical. It is true. It is true they made you late to your appointment, and it is true that they shouldn't have done what they did. But your feeling about it, upset, angry.
I'm just thinking that I'm sitting by the back of your metaphor, that I'm sitting by the theater and I'm watching this horror movie and certain feelings are evoking like, either terror or sadness. But then when I get reminded that I know how the mechanics of this movie is working and I know there's a machine and there's a film going on, so then in those moments it's almost comical, like why am I crying? It's just exactly. It's just a reflection of what's coming out of the machine, the projector, and
So it's, in that case, I understand, it's not real. But the person cutting me off and making me late to my appointment is real. So how do I work through that?
I would just say, it's a great question. And I would say you'd have to realize that what's real is that you're really thinking that way about it.
Yeah.
It's your response, right?
That's the way you're thinking about it.
And how should I see it differently?
I don't know. You're welcome to continue to think about it that way. But the fact that you're feeling oy vey is because you're thinking about it as now I'm going to be late to work.
So the way I would change my thinking, I would say, well, Hashem sent this person, and probably for a good reason that I'm going to be late to work.
Yes, but that would be during Musar Seder. Here, we're just trying to...
It's reality.
Here, we're just trying to understand the fact of the matter, that I am feeling this way about being cut off because I am thinking this way about it. Me.
And my thought is not what I'm supposed to think.
No, you can think anything.
You can't stop it. It is
Well,
what it is.
I don't know about that. I don't know if you can stop it or not stop it.
it's interesting that I'm hearing you say that lately. I guess we hadn't heard in a while.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that you shouldn't think what you're thinking.
That choice piece in.
Yeah, it's over the last 2 months we've been working on it. Well, I'm not saying that because you see this, you should then change your thinking. I'm just saying, look, the way you feel about something that's going on around you is a perfect reflection of your thinking. That's it.
I get it.
That's it. Now, what you've done with that is, oh, well, yeah, that's true. That means I could be thinking something else, right? Well, let me try on this thought for size. The Eibishter developed and everything is perfect. Yeah, that feels a little different. Yeah, fine. You can do that if you want. I'm not encouraging that or suggesting that I'll be the innate health of the principles. What's really, really helpful about the principles is realizing that your feeling is 100% an inside job and never, ever, ever brought to you by virtue of what someone is doing to you. Ever. When you see this, it will challenge a lot of the conclusions that you've come to about people, about yourself, about situations, about the future, about the past. It'll do all kinds of stuff. But that's it. Just getting your feeling put back together with this divine mechanism and peeling it off, this idea that's been plaguing us, that we've been attributing our feelings to, well, this happened. I was feeling fine before you walked in the room, right? And so we make these conclusions that my feeling is coming from you. I have a good feeling when I eat chocolate cake, or it's a sunny day, and I have a bad feeling when there's no chocolate cake. Yeah? So we are plagued by this idea that our feelings are somehow rooted in or born of our surroundings or our behavior or others' behavior. And I just want to get at that idea and have people consider that might not be true at all.
Well, if it would be true, then one would have to have the identical feeling every single time that scenario comes forward. That is not in fact the case. Every time you're sitting in traffic, you don't always 100% have the same thought. Sometimes you're spaced out, sometimes you're not in a rush, sometimes you don't care, sometimes you're
Sometimes you're not coming late for the appointment.
whatever the thing
But
is.
now you are
But sometimes
coming
you are coming
late.
late for the appointment and you still might not be upset. You might just so it's not 100% of the time that you have the same feeling.
Yeah.
You have the exact same
Let's
experience.
examine being late for an appointment. Let's say that being late for an appointment is a fact. The appointment was 4:00, yeah, and it is now 5 to 4, and you're in traffic. Yeah. How does that feel?
Anxiety provoking.
Okay. How else does it feel?
Depending on the thoughts that you give at that moment, is how you feel. It could feel different any time, the same thing.
Depending on how late you
It
are,
would be
depending
the
on the
frequency.
meeting, depending on.
Frustration.
It would be a lot of what my past has looked like with this particular situation. Frequency, intensity, duration of it's happening continuously, saying I have to change
Yeah.
when I leave and how to organize myself or not rely on this particular driver because I'm always running. Like, I'm going to a million, how to do this better for the future. Maybe.
So the only thing we can say for certain about being late for an appointment and the feeling that you're going to have when that's going on
We don't know.
is that we don't know. It's going to depend.
It's unknown.
It's going to depend on how you happen to be thinking in that moment. And I'll bet that while you're late for that appointment, you'll actually have a whole myriad of emotions. Yeah. As your thinking is changing, your feeling will be changing. And actually being late doesn't have any feeling attached to it at all. Not anxiety, not frustration, nothing at all. We are very familiar with the fact that when we're late for something, that it's anxiety provoking, but not always. Can you think of something that we might be late to that people are happy about it?
A plane, miss a plane and then it crashes.
Okay.
I wouldn't be happy with all the people on
No,
the
has to
phone.
show up, I'm still you think, wow, it's such a good thing I missed it. But that's after the fact.
He's saying during.
During, you're late for something, yeah? The only way you can be upset when you're late for an appointment is if you really want to be on time.
But you could be going to a wedding that you really don't want to go to. You
You see that?
It's when your husband is very punctual and you are a very late comer.
Yeah, there are times when you think you're rushing and you're half hour late to get there, no one's there, and you're a minute late. So it's the expectation piece.
I'm not saying you shouldn't have expectations. This is I have a big machlokes, a big argument with some of the people in the principles world. They think that this means because expectations that are unmet make us feel upset, therefore we shouldn't have expectations. That's garbage. I'm just saying, look, you're feeling upset about something is because you had an expectation and it wasn't met. I'm not saying don't have expectations. I love having expectations. But don't attribute it to something else. Have your expectations, and when they're not met, don't blame something else. It started within you. Nothing wrong with having expectations. There's nothing wrong with being upset either. But the problem is having expectations, being disappointed when they aren't met, and blaming everyone else for how you feel. That's where the problem is. Yeah.
It's sort of like putting the responsibility in the right perspective.
That's right. The true logic of how it works is always going to come back to you.
And that's a game changer. It's a really transformative.
Yeah. Again, this is not about that you should think differently or you should think higher or better or more positively. I really don't much care about how you think until we get into Torah. That's where Torah cares. But here we don't really care. What we really care about here is whether you understand more and more often that how you feel comes from how you think, not from anything else. And that the more you mine that, the more you dig down, you're just going to find more and more and more thought.
Well, you could walk into the grocery store that's higher end, let's say, and you could walk in and say, oh, wow. One time you walk in, it's like, this grocery is just beautiful. It's like a sight for the eyes. It's a feast to shop in. And then you could walk into the same store another time and think, oh my gosh, this place is so expensive. So you could be in the same exact store where nothing has changed from yesterday, but yesterday it looked beautiful and today it feels expensive. So
I like that metaphor more when we're talking about spouses.
That's what you're
webinar,
First one, we're
I
talking
really
about
like-
feeling.
So just a moment. What's that?
the webinar that you spoke
The
about.
teleconference.
Yeah.
Teleconference, that it could be a bad feeling 6,000 times, but 6,001 time it could be good. So it's very hopeful that your feelings is not the same.
Some would call it a miracle, right? Someone just told me recently that their husband is saying things to them that he's never said, and they've been married for 40 years. It's a miracle. Well, no. People change. People find new thought. It's not. Oh, it is a miracle, but it's not a surprise. It's very hopeful. It's very relevant. It's very immediate. What did you want to say?
So we were talking about feelings before, and now all of a sudden you change it to thoughts. So that's, I don't get the.
Don't worry about that.
One thing comes.
No. I don't think that's the answer here. Don't worry
No?
about that. Don't worry about that. What did you understand so far?
So, I don't know what thought, I understand so far that Hashem plants in us, you said first a feeling. I think Hashem plants in us a thought, I would think that, and then we evoke the feeling because of that thought. That's, for me, that's easier to understand.
Okay, you're absolutely welcome to have your own opinion on it. But if for a moment you can set that aside, just for a minute, and take a look at what we've said, not the words of it. Look at what if you could just take everything that we just said so far, everything that was described, and look beyond it. What do you see?
So I get that. My personal reality is not the real thing. It's Hashem is the real reality, and He implants in us thought. And the way we see things is not the real thing. That's something that I get from what you said.
So that's a step in the direction that we're looking. That our reality may have different principles behind it than we maybe previously thought.
Mm-hmm.
I thought my reality is what it is because the world is the way that it is. Now we're starting to see, maybe not. Maybe there's something else going on. That's what we do at these discussions. Yeah. Now
So I feel on what she's saying is it's my interpretation at that given moment.
Okay.
What's going on?
Either way, I want to make a different point here because I'm getting a sense that maybe it's time to pull back a little bit from getting too technical about it. What we've been doing here, and not just these ladies, but there's been many people who've been coming and examining this and examining this and examining this until they get it. They see something deeper. There's a pursuit of truth going on here. How does it really work? Not how does it feel right to me? What kind of makes sense to me? I want to know what is true. How does it actually work? We're committed to figuring that out. I don't claim to have it all. Yeah. And I'm still kind of sorting it out. But that's what we're doing here. We're all in the same boat. So it's a little bit, it's like that. There's no urgency to figure it out, get it straight right now. The main thing is to have a donut, have a nice time, and enjoy yourself. Right? Did you have a donut yet?
It's really cool.
I decided that I was going on a diet yesterday morning.
So that's why we put donuts in front of
So you can put them closer. My resolve is strong today. I am not touching them. If I can do anything about it. I'm saying that because there's really, I think that I don't want to do a disservice to anyone. If you get too technical about it, we've done I think we've done some nice ishtadlus today, and I feel like that's enough. If you want to go at it more, fine, but there's no guarantees that you're going to get an insight right now just by going at it more. So who wants to go at it more? Who wants to work it out some more?
I want to ask a question. What does it mean when you say
I'm not
he's
supposed
a
to say
happy
that.
person? He's a happy person. What does it mean? He's a happy person. You see in the world some people just
saying a
more
person.
happy.
Oh, disposition.
He's
Is
a
there
happy
such a thing as
person.
a disposition? Yes, there is. Of course there is.
people
Means
have.
he's
They're not
being
always
gifted
that
with
way, though.
more thoughts that are creating a feeling of happiness within himself.
Or maybe the people around them are gifted as this particular person appears to.
What's a happy disposition?
Someone who smiles, someone who always.
No, we all know what it is. Like,
We
yeah,
all, we all have people in our lives who are.
He can
who are just
smile and
naturally
everything else, but he's
that
not.
appear.
I have one child that has a happy disposition. I think he was born like
It's a person.
Does that child have times they feeling
Could be.
sad or
Of
other emotions?
Of course.
Or
But
other-
most of the time, he's not.
Yeah, he's not happy all 100% of the time, but in general, the way he relates to people and to the world is like he's more
Is it easy?
positive.
I have a child like that too, but I just find that his disposition is, like, he rolls with the punches. That's why I would say he's a happy, he goes into, every Rebbe has described him as very relaxed. That's how he is.
Mm-hmm.
People can say something to him, people can do something to him, it just rolls right out.
So
That's why, and
he talks about that, about personality types.
But so those people are being gifted more regularly with thoughts that are creating feelings of
They can be
happiness,
miserable.
etc.
Like she
maybe they
said,
naturally
they can
don't let people bother them.
My child was like
I don't
this.
know.
His first words were, happy, happy, happy.
So what does that mean? Are there happier people than others?
Maybe these children just get over things and they're more connected to something. Maybe they
All those
understand.
maybes don't really answer the question, like, are they just being gifted? What makes them like that? Are they being gifted according to this module? Are they just being gifted on a regular basis with thoughts that are creating happy feelings in their heart that project outwards?
I've seen very happy people in a moment run into something where they suddenly believe that no, this is upsetting, this is making me upset, and they can't get over it. So
Something is
it's still
making
in the
them
moment.
upset is not.
Yeah, they make that mistake, and they can't.
Moment by moment by
Still-
So
moment
he's
by
saying that
moment.
there's no such thing basically as a happier person than another
You can-
person. All people are equal.
Yeah, well, what you can do is you can only look at the past.
String together moments
That's what it
of their
sounds
life.
like.
You can only look at the past. You can look at someone with the last 12 years, 98% of the time, he's been pretty happy. Well, he must have a happy disposition. Okay, yeah, that's what's happened in the past. You can look at the past and say, yeah, he's been happy most of the time. But still, that's the last 12 years of a series of moments that he was a particular way.
Right, so he was gifted, in other words, the last 12 years in all those moments with that particular.
Or he chose.
He might choose it.
What's going to happen in the future is still unknown. Like, you just don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
Also want to say that being happy and you were the, let's say, the person attributing, oh, because my life is just so good, it's the youngest child, or it's the first
Right.
order, that's, again, misunderstanding.
Right, I understand that. But we
Yeah.
do see in the
That-
world,
that-
everyone
that-
probably knows at least one person that always just brings sunlight into a room, and then there's sometimes some person that just brings.
I haven't met that person.
You haven't met a person that.
Someone who's constantly 100% of the time in a positive disposition.
How about 85%?
But most
Have
of,
you met people
that's
that are
most people's
down?
perception of that person. My friend's pediatrician was in a shot of 2 of his patients one day because all the years he treated them, both of these little kids were always sunshine in the office, and they're very happy married 5 kids later, really. He said, I have the perfect boy for you. A very upbeat, cheerful little girl all the years, and same for the boy. And
Doesn't mean 100% of
of course not, but for the most
Nothing's
part, those
100%.
kids come in his office, out of all the hundreds and hundreds of little children he treated, those 2 stood out to him, that they bring sunshine when they come into his room. Many people know someone that seems to just bring sunshine wherever they go.
No, the reason why I bring up the 100% of the time thing is if happy disposition is a thing that's in them, then it would be 100%.
Right, so
Is it in them, or is it-
You're saying that they're gifted most of the time with thoughts that give them feelings of happiness that projects outward, so that the pediatrician would say, oh, this patient, this kid, just a breath of sunshine, a breath of fresh air in the office.
Well, the question is what do I think of a happy disposition? So I think I've told you. I don't think it really exists except in the moment. And I don't care how much percentage of the time it's there, it's still going to be in the moment.
If you take little children who aren't yet tainted by our lives and haven't been taught how they should or shouldn't be thinking, you do see some happier babies, some happier toddlers, some happier till they go to school and get bashed up. You do, you see the different types of children around.
Yes.
The good news is that those who are miserable can work out to be lovely, calm people when they get
Yeah.
older. I've seen that too.
But again, it's still going to be in the moment.
But they're gifted. They're gifted if they're generally happier.
You're looking to enter that, that has to be 100% of the time.
You see my 5-year-old.
Do you want a yes or no answer, it has to be either 100% or 0%.
Nothing's 100%.
That's the same, so then,
Only, I suppose,
then
I
I
would
guess
thought.
that's not the
The fact of thought is the only thing that's 100%.
Also, not being gifted with thoughts that are creating that disposition. That little child in the whole Theta class who was always the one who's just chipper and cheery and ready to go, right? Like the other 25, well, that's not, I guess there's that one that's always like,
When it comes to me, being like,
I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying, so that means the point that he's being gifted in every one, it's moment by moment by moment. So I guess he's blessed that he's being gifted for those unlimited moments with thoughts of cheer.
Yeah. Anything else? These classes are great for my ego because I can explain and explain and explain, and I get blank stares. But
When you say happy gift with insight.
That's your perception.
it's my perception.
You don't like that,
The Lord opens my eyes and allows me to see reality. But there's always
The stairs are introspection.
yeah, sure. But the point is that it doesn't make a difference because I know I'm not, like I told you before, I'm not putting this in you. You guys put your efforts in today, and you're going to be walking home, or you're going to have some interaction tomorrow or the next day, and you're going to find yourself being surprisingly different, or something's going to occur to you about the truth of what we're saying here.
I could definitely say it has definitely helped. It's 6 months now, maybe. Miriam, 6 months, we're trying to figure out. Yeah. I am definitely a different person.
In what way?
I'm more calm. I don't let things like get to me if someone says something, or I just, it is, I'm just calmer.
Should we test her?
I don't let things get right in here.
Should we test you?
You could. I learned how to let just things.
There you go.
Yeah. I don't blame anything on my mother. I don't blame anything on my siblings. I really don't. The way I was brought up, I'm telling you.
It's definitely very uplifting for me, and somehow, I think I mentioned it last time, I somehow feel of whatever's happening, I try to picture it. It's like the donkey that Hashem made him talk. Like a donkeys don't talk, but Hashem made him talk. So if you are saying something to me, you're just a donkey.
I am.
Hashem put the words. Hashem just put the words for you. So you really can't control anything, because what made you think to say this? There's a higher authority up there that puts that thought into you to do this, but really has nothing to do with you or the world around me. And it's probably for the good of me. I believe very, very strongly in Hashgacha Pratis. Me, Hashem, me. And I try to focus on this very, very much. And I come up with amazing stories that happened to me now, today, yesterday, the day before, that, what? I can't believe it. And is that the right way of?
As long as if it's doing something for you.
It's working for you. It's working for you.
If it's working for you,
And
that's
that
great.
makes me smile, because even though now the experience isn't good, but I know from my previous experiences, it's for my good, and I end up smiling afterwards. So probably this is probably also gonna happen tomorrow in that way.
You don't know.
What?
Nobody knows what's gonna happen.
No, but
It's
that's the
hopeful.
whole point. I
Hopeful.
think I
Right.
have experienced that it happened in the past, that whatever, ever, and then when I put one and one together, because I'm choosing to think of it, I'm choosing of Hashgacha Pratis, I'm choosing to think that what's happening to me is definitely from Hashem. I know, like, to there, so that makes me sometimes feel good.
It's a very hopeful module. So it's hopeful.
Oh, we know that's what it's, yeah.
It's hopeful, that's, I think,
It's
the.
freeing.
What?
It's freeing.
Absolutely.
That's what's hopeful, because it's liberating from being locked into
Liberating,
what
right.
we thought had to be. Opens up like
It's a
unlimited
possibility.
possibilities. Right,
Yeah.
unlimited possibilities all of a sudden open in front of you, so that's hopeful.
With just, let's put it this way. A new reality, change in reality is 1,000,000 miles away.
See that again?
A change in reality is 1,000,000 miles away from happening. Or more. It's just one thought away. If you get that one thought. Now, if you don't have that thought, you can't make it up. You can't make yourself know something you don't know. Yeah. So we're not blaming anyone in the world for not knowing this truth. They didn't know it. They didn't even know it existed to look for it. And us too. There's going to be many moments where we lose sight of this fact and we find ourselves blaming everyone else for how we feel. We're feeling insecure because of something else going on in our life. And we know we should be, or if we could only remember the principles, or tell ourselves it's just thought, that's just manufactured. That's not the real thing. You have to understand that sometimes you forget this and that you're going to be blaming other people. I am not impressed by people who learn the principles. I'm not saying I'm not impressed by you. I'm not talking about you.
I'm not there most of the
I
time.
am impressed by you, but I'm not impressed by people who learn the principles and suddenly they're changed.
Magic.
And everything like floating on a cloud and nothing gets to them. And I mean, it can happen. I'm not saying it can't happen, but I'm not impressed by that.
What does?
I'm impressed by people who learn the principles and have a different relationship, a calmer, more embracing relationship with all their crazy ups and downs. I'm impressed by people who learn the principles, get really, really mad, and take full responsibility. I like people
When you take full responsibility, what do you mean?
that they don't attribute it to the world around them. They know it's completely an internal thing. That's impressive.
Internal or from Hashem?
Same thing. Same thing. Yeah, it's just one metaphor. Just you taking it a step further. It's very personal.
It's what she said. Right? Which is.
I'm just saying that
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'm impressed by people who still have the full spectrum of feeling. We have no problem with feelings here. I'm not against certain feelings. I'm not trying to prevent you from feeling upset or depressed or anxious or make you happier or whatever. I want you to have all of that, but I want us more and more often to stop believing that those feelings are fluctuating because of stuff that's fluctuating out there. Yeah.
And
And none of those feelings are good or bad. They're all okay.
Why do you always complicate it? No, I wouldn't. I can't say that a straight statement like that because the Torah has an opinion
Okay, so
upon.
let me say it differently, sorry, and I'm okay, notwithstanding having the full spectrum of feelings.
You are okay.
There's nothing wrong with me if I.
That's right. There's nothing wrong if you're having nothing wrong or broken about you that you're feeling this way. Maybe the Torah says if you're feeling this way, well, we don't want you to. So here's what you should do. Fine, that's what the Torah says. But there's nothing inherently bad or wrong about having a particular, let's say, a bad feeling. Even the tzaddikim, the Svarim say, get machshavas zaros in the middle of Yom Kippur. Yeah. And they get them because it's a whole avodah for them. They're supposed to because really it's representative of a neshama that hasn't found menucha. So it comes to them during the davening, and when they get that thought and then ignore it and concentrate on the Eibishter, that's considered like being mala, that thought, and it frees up the neshama. It's a whole avodah thing. It's not pertaining to people like me, but you see that such a thought itself is not necessarily inherently bad. We get sometimes out of nowhere, we get thoughts. Sometimes they're just challenges. Here's your challenge today. You feel like you wish the grandkids wouldn't be here anymore, and there's still 2 days left to Yontif, yeah? So that's your challenge. There you go. Be nice anyway. Is there something wrong with you? What's wrong with me that I don't love my grandchildren? How am I supposed to love my grandchildren? Well, if you like to get a nap in the afternoon, maybe you're not going to love your grandchildren so much. Yeah?
In that moment.
In that moment. I don't have grandchildren, but where I was staying for Yontif, they're kind of like the community Bubby and Zadie, and Yontif afternoon, all the kids come over for freeze pops and to shoot Nerf guns. And I didn't get to nap. Let's just put it that way.
Next time, bring a noise machine.
A noise machine. They were kicking the door down so they could shoot me again.
Oh.
You have a good place to stay.
Yeah. And-
Question?
yeah.
You want to go? No. I don't know, because I heard you refer a few times, I don't know if I should ask it now, but I'm asking it anyway.
Okay.
About the fact that where our responsibility comes in for what we're experiencing.
Okay. So the question is, I know I'm feeling this, I'm feeling divine thought. This divine power brings me my reality. That's settled science, right? Does anyone have any, not whether you agree with me or not, but you can hear that's what I'm saying, that there's this one source that brings me my reality. It turns into my reality. That's the question is, why am I getting this reality? Do I have anything to do with it? And the answer is, I think very much so. It's not a principle. You can't just choose something, and if you choose it, you get it. But you guide your fate by the choices that you make, whether in thought, speech, or action. When I use thought, in this instance, I'm using it what you choose to focus on or think about, yeah, or what you choose to say or do. Those are choices that you make, and the Eibishter responds in kind. But I don't create my reality by virtue of doing something or saying something. I'll just what do they call the magicians do? They chant some sort of something and poof, it happens. It doesn't work that way. And even if I focus my mind really hard in a cloud and it suddenly disperses, I didn't do that. I don't have that power. But when you continually make choices in a certain direction, you're going to get that. Yeah? It's not a principle, it's a b'derech. Yeah. The other thing is, and that we've mentioned it here a few times, is that when I say that you choose the reality that you get, b'derech klal, it's not, sometimes the choice is made so lightning quick that you don't even notice that you're choosing it. Yeah, but you're still choosing it. So Rabbi Yerucham writes that it's in his time there was the Industrial Revolution, and there were machines that were able to output things. They would have mechanisms that would output faster than the eye could see the machine doing it. And today it's commonplace. But he says Bechira is kind of like that. You're choosing things way faster than you even realize. So I don't remember choosing to not like you, but I must have. Yeah.
And then somebody that's turning and twisting wrist, I'm just, putting it out there. Somebody is turning and twisting at night wrist. They can't find their menucha and they're not going to sleep. So are they choosing to be in that position? Are they not, I don't know.
So again, I don't think it's fair to say choosing in the way we usually think of choosing. We usually think of choosing of,
Like red or yellow.
I'm choosing this one. It's much more subtle than that. So on some level, a person can't fall asleep because they made choices throughout the day to really be, I don't know, work really hard that the conference should go well. Yeah. So your whole mind is turning it over and over and over. And so you get more and more and more of that. And it's, the true answer is I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, it's hard to wrap your head around it.
I can't say, well, this one you choose, or this one that I was just giving you as a challenge, or I don't know. But I think you can, for the most part, we can say for certain that we can't say that the principles are showing us that I'm just here and the Eibishter is pouring whatever he's, nah, that's not the picture. That's
the
not
picture
accurate.
say like, I'd like to be this kind of person. I'd like to be a very kind person. And then hopefully Hashem is going to put me into those situations that I really want to be good. I really want to be kind. I really want to have a good relationship. I really want to be there. And then things will happen.
Again, I don't know.
Is that the derech?
I don't know. I think on one level, on a very exciting level, it looks like, in truth, a nice life is right here, right now for you to have. It's there. On another level, yeah, you don't have to wait even a minute. It's right there to have. I can see that.
That's very powerful, actually.
I can see that, yeah? On another level, practically though, I don't see like, okay, so let me go take it. Well, no, I can't move, right? So I don't know how to reconcile that, but I know it's there. I know it can happen right here, right now. If nothing changes, nothing has to change.
That thought of, I like a nice life here in this moment, that could affect, you said there shall not thought, like I'm breathing in this moment, my kidneys are working in this moment.
I hear what you're saying, but I'm not saying that. Think beyond the metaphors that we've been using. Think beyond the mechanisms that we've been trying to use to describe. This is another I'm giving you another metaphor. Here's the metaphor. The metaphor is a wonderful life is available right here, right now. That's another metaphor. It's a completely different metaphor than I'm feeling my thinking, and it's a completely different metaphor. I'm kind of schlepping you to look beyond that. And don't forget, these are all metaphors.
Focusing on the positive. A good life is.
Listen to what I'm about to say. Don't forget, these are all metaphors. There's something that you can see that would literally make it all okay. That would completely change the rules of the game about what needs to happen in my life. We've already eliminated that. Or what needs to happen in my thinking, eliminating that. It's just, what if it's way more immediate and available than we ever imagined? I don't know how. I don't have a metaphor to describe it for you perfectly, why, the mechanism that would make that possible, but I can see that that's possible.
And that thought can shift, right?
It's a different metaphor. It's a different metaphor.
And what is it that changes everything?
Your thought.
When you look at reality only from the end of only using the rules that apply down in reality, physical rules, rules of mathematics, rules of teva, it's not the whole picture.
Right.
And when you go behind the scenes of what's behind reality itself, none of the rules of teva apply at all. That's all I'm saying. I don't know how else to say it. It's just, there's another, we're putting it back together. We're looking at the whole picture. We're not just looking at the world and saying, well, this and came to this, and there must be some attribution, and there's rules of nature that we have to adhere to. Ein mazel li Yisrael, by the way. You know what that means? We don't operate in teva.
This brings to mind there's a famous mashal from Rav Dessler. Like if you look at a map of the world that's covered by a paper and there's a pinprick, that as you move the paper, you only see one city at a time or one thing at a time. So you just see that. So we don't understand what's going on. But if you lift off the paper that's covering the map, you can see the whole map. So you're saying there's a reality out there that that we should know that is there, that changes the way we see things.
Exactly. We're looking at a wider picture. You know where Rashi, I think, talks about an experience where somebody had the ability to see the full picture. It says by Avram Avinu, Vayoytze Oisai Hachutza. Yeah. A watershed moment in Klal Yisrael where he promised him that he didn't have children. Well, how am I going to have children? Teva, I'm 90-something years old, and it ain't happening. Rashi says, he took him outside. Chaloloi would mean like maybe the globe. I don't think that's what it means, though. I don't think that's what it's shot. He took him outside the universe, and they were looking down in, which means he saw the universe within a larger reality, within a larger context. And that's what we're doing. We're starting to see our little realities are here, but we're seeing that it's suspended within the boundaries of time, space, and matter, or within the boundaries of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And different rules apply when you see it within that context. One such rule would be, I can see that my feeling is not coming from you. Another such rule would be, I can see that even though the last 40 times when my shviga came over, it was misery, the next time I still don't know what it's going to be. Yeah. I can see that my feeling is a perfect reflection of where I am. My feeling, my opinion about you, my judgments about you. It's all has to do with me, nothing to do with you. One of the more, every once in a while, there'll be something very challenging coming along. We pride ourselves, pride ourselves on embracing all Jews, no matter where they're at. But trust me, there are a few people locally that we have a hard time embracing. It's a real challenge. We are susceptible, just like anyone else, to saying, yeah, we love everyone except for this guy. I mean, come on, look at him. Yeah. So it's there where we have to kind of look even harder. How do you find some way to see this person positively without denying the fact that, okay, he's doing something that's not richtig, or can I get halacha, but still, where does that equate to my hating him? If he's not a Rasha, and there's no Rasham today. Hating a Rasha is a mitzvah, but okay, it's a different thing. There was an example of this. They say Rebbeir Pramishlan had a big avodah. I think this is a brilliant story. His avodah was that he wouldn't walk into the Beis Medrash until he had worked out in his own mind why everyone who's in the Beis Medrash is greater than him. Okay? So sometimes it wasn't so easy, depending on who was in the Beis Medrash. So one day he was marching back and forth in the Beis Medrash, he wasn't coming in. And after 2 hours, he finally came in and he davened. So the Chassidim asked him, what was taking so long? Like, why were you marching back and forth? So he told them that he had this avodah, and he said on this particular day, this morning, there was someone who was a lowlife, a real no-goodnik, just the worst of the worst, was in the Beis Medrash, and for the life of him, he couldn't figure out what mila did this guy have over him. Yeah. He said after 2 hours, it occurred to him that if I was as much of a lowlife as this guy, I never would have came to shul. And this guy came to shul. Yeah? So he's better than me. I think the story highlights that how you're seeing someone, like the inability to see someone's milas, has nothing to do with them. It has everything to do with you. Okay, you haven't found a way to see someone positively. Fine, I have no tinus. You don't have it. But to say that my inability to see you as positive is because you're not positive. There's nothing positive about you. No such animal.
Can you help me walk through this one? I'm like thinking of two situations where people happen to have yelled at me a lot.
Yeah.
And the showdown went for a while.
The what went
The
on?
showdown,
Yeah.
yelling me down. It was.
Wow.
Yeah.
We don't get to see that so often anymore.
No, I think it's an old fashioned.
Yeah, very European.
Yeah, but this was one when I had to New York with the doctor, no less.
Maybe.
She was mad at me and screamed. So when I came out of the room, there was another doctor on the outside. He looked at me like, "Are you okay?" It was like
A scene.
a horrible scene. I came out of there, and it took me a while to collect myself. Well, obviously, first thing was I needed to find a different doctor. That's in the practical terms. But it took a while to recover, and pretty soon afterwards, I was telling somebody about the experience, and she was telling me how disgusting, blah, blah, blah. That same person, soon enough, was annoyed at me for something I had done, and was tearing me apart, not in a screaming voice, but in a calculated voice of everything. It was like a half an hour showdown, literally, going on. And I was left shaken for a while. And then I said to myself, so what am I supposed to do with this? Well, obviously, I don't need to interact with her if she doesn't want me to, because that was obviously, she was very mad at me. But it took me a while to get to myself and say, well, she was in that place. But the fact is, I was shaken up from both experiences. Now you're going to say it was my thoughts that shook me up. I mean, I was okay with feeling shaken up. I felt such a situation.
Well, I'll say what I'm going to say. You just tell me what you think happened.
I know what happened.
Yeah. So tell me what you think happened.
Or why I felt the way I did. It doesn't take much of a person really yells at you in such a way to be shaken up. It doesn't take much.
Is it kind of a shock to your system?
It was a shock to my system. Well, the first person it was, I had to interpret it in medical terminology and like say, where does it come or what is this? And she has a behavior problem. That's all. I told myself she has a behavior problem. Second person, I said, she has a behavior problem. And I don't, one person I could shut out of my life. I don't ever have to see that doctor again. The other person I couldn't shut out of my life.
Right.
So I really learned how to be very civil with this person regardless, but I won't let myself be drawn into certain conversations.
Smart.
But the feelings and the emotions and the hurt and the recovery were recoveries.
Yeah. So what's the question?
So where does innate health come into this? It doesn't let me avoid going through the feelings of it.
Oh yeah. You're still good. Huh?
You can't skip life.
Yeah.
No, it's not the outside in. Nobody can do anything to you. You're right, they're having a problem, it's their issue, nothing to do with you. They can't be touching you because the feeling is what you interpret. If you scream at me, you belittle me, I'm gonna feel clapped. No, that's not true because I'm okay, whatever I'm doing.
No, but you are fucked.
No, so you got those thoughts
At the
about-
moment.
Her experience was them feeling fulfilling to us. We don't know yet where it came
Thoughts that
from.
were coming into you, rational thoughts of pain that you had to
Well,
endure
so
at
the
that
first
time.
person, like the
being
doctor, it
angry.
was like, I need to find somebody ASAP
Right,
to replace.
to replace that.
To replace this. It was something very proactive. I had to do research and do my journey. Second person, it was like, I'm sorry you're in pain and you feel slighted, because that was what the other person was feeling. But I definitely don't like to be the person to hurt. I felt like, and to be intertwined in that whole thing.
And it's funny you said.
I'm not clear on the question. Well, go ahead.
No, it's funny that you're saying, like you said to
I
yourself,
think
the
that the
person
other
has like
person
mental
may
health,
hurt.
they have problems.
I know if it's mental
I'm
or
just like,
emotional, I don't
I'm like
even know how
thinking,
to.
because there are some people who are extremely sarcastic.
Yes.
Like really sarcastic to the
With lots
point,
of anger.
like, hello, who do you think you're talking to? So what you're saying, mental health, I have this person who is extremely sarcastic. So I look at this person that has like some kind of retardation. That, no, I'm serious, the same sense, that, you know what, she has something wrong with her, and she is overly sarcastic, and whenever that person is sarcastic, I'll think to myself, okay, you know what, something's, and then I could move on.
Maybe there's no way out of experiencing what you experience.
Right.
I needed to
Going
experience
thoughts,
that.
right, so like Nash, those thoughts were given to you during that yelling. Was a
Yeah, but the
period
funny thing is that
you
this-
needed to.
Yeah, but this
go through
particular
that.
doctor, I had
Until you
met her,
journeyed somewhere else
Yeah.
to a better place with it.
this
But
particular doctor, I met her a year earlier, and I intuitively knew she had a behavior problem. I met her in a different setting, and a year later, by choice, I went after a lot of research. It seemed like she had the answer. She actually gave me a good medical idea with all the yelling.
Right.
She actually said something right. And now, to be fair, I have to be fair. She had said something right. But all said and done, yes,
So
she
she
still has the
had-
same problem.
What'd you want to say?
My intuition was
If you're
right.
saying that someone
From the
has a
beginning.
behavior problem or something, then aren't you blaming them if like the outside in, instead of saying that?
They could have a behavior problem.
Did you hear me say that though?
I was the one who said it.
She-
No, that's what I'm asking on her.
unless I am nodding like this and saying, I agree with everything being said, then I am
They're
not.
all discussing, that's what I'm
Yes.
asking.
This is discussion. This is not me.
Concept, yeah, I'm just saying separately.
Yes, you're right. You're zeroing in on it. It's not.
It's not.
So
Not
this
that
was my
it's
question
not.
at the bottom of it, like for everything I went through.
Okay, so give yourself a break,
Right.
but be honest with yourself. You can't see here how her behavior is not directly affecting you. It just doesn't add up for you. And that's okay. You can't see, how is it true here that I'm feeling my thinking? And that this feeling that I'm having is really an optional thing or an independent thing, nothing to do with her. I mean, look at how she's behaving. You're telling me there's no relationship? How could that be? Oh, but there's a principle that says I feel one thing. I can't see how that adds up here. And okay, I must be outside in. I've got an illogical experience or way of seeing this feeling. And we all get that way sometimes. Give yourself a break about that. Don't try to change it or be better about it. Just know that you're outside the truth in your understanding of how this feeling showed up for you. And that's it. Just
Accept it.
yeah, me too most of the time. Okay.
Acceptance, really.
But knowing where you're at with the situation, like he's saying, won't confuse you so much with, like right now in this situation, you're not seeing it, and that's fine. You don't have to try to plug it in. In this example, you don't see it. We all have.
Brooklyn knows my story. The accountant had to go to every year for a lot of years. I'm not an easy person. I used to always be nervous before I went